get this right someday, 5-10 years from now. Facebook won't be around anymore.
Yeah, we won't be using Facebook.
So
Okay.
apologies, there was just some Facebook challenges. For those who tried the YouTube channel, you'll realize we left a note there. We're still getting verified. To go live, you need to be verified. We haven't received that verification yet, so sorry, we thought we would by now. So apologies, it'll be up by the next time. Plus, it'll enable people to watch any streams we do at Blast, and etc., who don't use Facebook. So again, apologies. You can watch the video on our website. So if others are pinging you and they don't have Facebook, please tell them to watch it on our website. You can't chat, unfortunately, but they can certainly reach out to us with any questions via text or email after. We won't be monitoring the phone while we're on this in this meeting.
Okay, can you guys hear us now? I am hoping. We did have some challenges with Facebook. They change a couple of their settings, buttons go in different places, different things are required, and that's why we're
Can't
starting
hear very well.
a little bit late.
So very quiet.
Hello. Okay, hold on. I'm going to up this a little bit. Hold on. Okay. Ooh, that should be good now. How about now? Can you hear us now?
Better.
Better?
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Much better. Okay, great. Great.
Okay, cool.
We moved locations from the last meeting if you attend from the
Yes,
office.
if you noticed.
So that's
Welcome
kind of the
to
sound.
our extended league office. This is actually our pool room. We put this up here for now just for bragging rights, right, for our captain's team. This will actually be framed and displayed at Kelly's Pub. Thank you, Kelly's.
Hi, Suki. So others have said that that's much better now. So
I think what I'm going to
I
do
don't know if it's
is
gotten
I'm
better
going
for you. There is a
to...
delay, 7 seconds. So maybe by the time a comment comes across, then
I might just put Scott on the mic here. So hopefully if he talks...
yeah, much better. I think it's better there. So
Right
set it here
into-
right now, just
okay.
for a second. We're going to do a test. Again, bear with us. We'll get consistent next time.
This microphone, though, is very directional. So you
Fair
got to
enough.
be speaking right into
Fair
it.
enough. Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, so I think we're going to get going. We're
Okay.
not going to be monitoring questions, and we'll get into that in a minute as to why. We will answer questions, however. But to meet the 15 minutes, even though we've chewed into time technically and mic related. so
Okay.
hold us to the 15-minute clock starting now, and we'll kind of walk you through how we're going to do that.
Okay. So I'm going to start the presentation. Whoops, there it is. Okay, here we are. That's us. That's our information. Let's move to the next slide. Oops.
Okay, so these are the agenda we're going to go through in the 15 minutes. So we'll just go to the next slide. I'm a quick sync objective. How we're going to try to accomplish this in the 2-hour meeting we ran last time. How do we get to 15 minutes? Meeting guidelines, same as last time. Vegas teams will go over hot topics, key changes, top questions. The 15 minutes does not account for the open form QA. That's part of how we get there. This way, those who want to get the information we're trying to send out, they get it and they can drop. And they can listen later if they want, or they can hang on as long as they can for their question, etc. And as always, feel free to text, email, call us about any question after.
That's our agenda. So I'm just going to move on because...
Yep. Okay, 15 minutes. How do we get there? Just what I said.
Okay.
So we don't
Let
need
me
to say it
skip
again.
that.
Sorry about that. All right, meeting guidelines. It's pretty obvious when we finally get to questions. We're not looking to discuss process or debate process and all that type of stuff. This is purely to clarify rules, how the league operates, etc. If you have a different opinion of how it should operate, we're open to that discussion, just not in this forum. This is meant just to align people with information and answer questions that are outstanding. Process stuff we'd prefer to handle offline because it can really take a long period of time. And in some cases, we've had process discussions with some of you, and as you know, at some point we make a decision, and we're not going to please everybody, but we do try to please the majority. Okay?
Okay.
All right, you could look here if you want to really look. Okay.
So our first up is congratulations to our champions, our world champions. We did have a victory celebration on Friday. That was awesome. We did have a team knock out the champs in our fun little friendly tournament at Kelly's. So congratulations to them. This is their $10,000 check. Woo! Amy, Chad, Ginger, Holly, and Jared, they all signed this check. We're going to put a little picture of them right here and post it up at Kelly's. Also, I want to give a shout out, and these pictures are actually on, if you scroll through our Facebook page cover pages, it's a slideshow now, and these pictures are on there so people can see them. I want to give a big shout out to our Masters team, Talk is Cheap. We got Cody and Edward and Luis and Josh. These guys took third place out of 384 teams. They went to Pool Dog Championship Arena. Woo! And I really want to also shout out to everybody, all of you San Diego guys who really represented well. You guys showed the utmost sportsmanship in every round, every tournament. We got compliments, and it really shows the integrity of this league and the players. So thank you
Yes.
for representing.
Yes. Okay, I did watch one comment briefly. We're going to pause in between slides. I guess when you hit the keyboard, there seems to be a blip on the speech for whatever reason, but then we come back. So I
Okay.
think we're okay. Just wanted to go there. Okay,
Okay.
so let's start through this slide. Teams who won the Summer Blast and get cities qualified, you need to continue with 4 players. So as teams are moving, and so teams are moving nights, teams are moving to different locations, etc. You have to keep 4 players. Sorry, my wife has decided to stream the video, and I can hear us talking while I'm trying to talk. So, so I just want to make sure it's important. We've had some qualification requirements cause challenges for teams, so it's very critical you understand what's important. When you go from summer to fall, if you are a Blast team, and especially a city's qualified team coming out of the Blast at the end of the month, you need to make sure you have 4 players remain on your team. If less than 4 players are on your team, you lose your qualification. If you are moving nights and you don't tell us that that team is tied to the other and you treat it as a new team, we may not tie it back to your other team. So just reach out and we can help you there.
This, by the way, this presentation that we're showing right now is going to be posted on our website. And if you see the little blue things, those are actually links to our website and the pertinent information that's there. And so when you do become cities qualified, there is a page on our website that describes all of these requirements for you guys to keep your eligibility.
Yeah, and again, just want to repeat, we're not really watching the Facebook stream. Liza might a little bit, but we're trying to hold off answering questions to get through the heart of the information. And then at the end, we'll stay on for as long as you guys would like us to answer questions. So you may have to repost them if they've already streamed off a little bit or so on. Anyway, the next thing is fall session starts this Tuesday. So 2 days, we have it starting. We're going to repost all divisions today. The reason for this is we still have roster changes coming in. We've had a couple teams drop, but we've actually had more join since I posted last. So we want to pick up as much as we can. You need to check your schedule and your score sheets because they will change for some divisions as teams drop and add. But what we post today will be what plays for next week, Tuesday through Sunday.
And try to turn
Tuesday through Monday.
Make sure you have your notifications turned on the app, because anytime we do change schedules, you will get a notification, and that could happen in the next month. So just want to make sure you guys know that schedules are changing as we get our session going.
Right, and if you haven't sent me already, send email or text only, don't call, with any roster changes. If you get them to me in the next couple hours, they will get into this repost we're doing later tonight. So you have a little bit of a window if you'd like to make them happen. You can also make them happen after on the score sheet like normal. Welcoming new teams. We have about over 20 new teams joining. Some people are experienced returning. Some people are just creating their own teams. But we just work with new teams, especially when they are brand new captains. Help them out. Make it easy. We were all new at one point in time. So,
you don't have to bring cupcakes, but
No.
some people bring cupcakes, but you don't have to bring cupcakes.
Yeah, no cupcakes necessary, but definitely help with rules and scores and just welcoming them to the league. Be patient with them. Don't assume they're trying to cheat something. Help them out with understanding things. And then make sure new players join. We can add players, but it's a lot more complicated if we do it. And last statement there is anyone can start a team. We've been asked by numerous people if anyone can start a team. The answer is absolutely, and we'll help you with that. Make sure your member services account is updated. This is critical because we were trying to talk to one team in particular, but this is a few cases where their information was incorrect. And so they weren't getting the information and time went by. So we tried everything, email, calling, text, you name it. So go into your account, especially captains and co-captains, because the progress we'll take is captain, then we'll include the co-captain, and then we'll include the team. So make sure your information's correct so that we're contacting you and we're solving stuff early.
And as far as that goes too, you can do that through your app. If you click on your initials, and then you can go to update your profile, and then it'll let you update stuff in there. But there's also a setting for opting out or in to emails. It's a little checkbox. And a lot of people think that that is for just marketing type stuff, but it actually will opt you out of our local league office communications. So captains especially, please check that and make sure it's unchecked so that you are opting into our emails.
Right, and we've had people tell us that their captain doesn't really watch their emails, so they recommend others. That's hard for us to manage. The best thing to do is actually we can change the captain's email to your email if you really think they just don't pay attention to it. But reach out and make that clear to us, and we'll use yours. But we have to put it in their account as your email. It's just the way the process works. The league's too big to manage it any other way. Okay, moving on. We've had a handful of situations where time's been a problem on a league night, and it's been different teams across different divisions. So we're just reminding everybody in the official team manual, it's very early in the manual, I think page 8, they talk about all the times. They talk about the average shot is 20 seconds, difficult's 45, timeouts are a minute. If you're playing a team, if you're the team that's going slow, speed it up. If you're playing a team that is going slow, tell their captain, then tell the player. You can even reach out to us because it'll be a sportsmanship foul, but if enough of those occur, the team will incur penalties. So we really need to move the night along. We have cases of people taking 45 to a minute for average shots and a couple minutes for difficult and et cetera. So, the people are there, they come in with certain requirements, make sure you're meeting them, but we can help. But we do ask, talk to the captain, then talk to the player, if not both at the same time. And captains and players with slow players on your team, tell them to move it along. So again, 20 seconds isn't 22, be on the flip side of that, 25, 30, 45 could be a minute, something like that. But what the complaints we're actually getting are 45 is 2 minutes, 20 is becoming a minute or two. That's excessive. And if we get involved and there's enough complaints, there will be a penalty. So please try to speed things up. The last line is really just, there are a lot of people who've played APA forever. They believe they understand a rule. They came from another area, different bylaws, rules have changed in the manual. This statement is just to say, if you guys have a disagreement, don't butt heads, just look it up really quick. It's very searchable online. You can search for keywords in the official team manual and bylaws at any given time. Please do so before getting into dispute with another team.
Okay.
All right. First one's simple. Just double check score sheets. When we turn them in, we do our best to check them as we enter scores, but sometimes people flip matches. Sometimes people put in the right name and the wrong player number, vice versa, and some things get entered wrong. We need anything that impacts standings and MVPs to be caught by you guys within a week so we can adjust it. You can imagine why we can't go longer, because we can't have a team assuming they're in a certain spot and find out weeks later due to the fact your score sheet was incorrect or an entry was incorrect that something is wrong. Patches and other things we can correct. That doesn't affect standings and MVP. So if we find out even 6 months later that you thought you had a patch, we can go back in, figure that out and add it, and so on. It's just stuff that affects the statements we made here. Okay, the message center. We're using this quite a bit for key information. We really ask that captains, co-captains, and all players read it. When we're putting something there, we're trying to communicate something out to you, something we may even say today, but just reminding you about it, eligibility, an event coming up, you name it. Whatever it may be, a rule that seems to be painful in the league or forgotten. Pay attention to the message center. It's the yellow highlighted area on the score sheet. We are using a lot more regularly now. Watch shots. We had a few instances of this occur, so we want to remind everybody. Once both teams agree on a person to watch it, there's no disputing the call. Absolutely none. And we need captains to control their players and themselves in these cases and respect the person, the third party that agreed to watch by both teams. If nobody watches, it's a shooter's call, same case. Do not argue with the shooter, none of that. We don't watch video, we don't do any of that, we don't get involved. Once the call is made in either of these cases, we move on. So please respect it. Last statement here is simply saying we get players all the time. So not everybody's on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook and you're looking for players, reach out to us every now and then. We'll post players on Facebook for those that are, but those who are not, and I realize today we hope to have our YouTube channel up. As we mentioned earlier, there's a challenge there. So most of you are on Facebook hearing this, but later when those that listen to it in recording, reach out to us. We do have a list of players, or you can just ping us and say, I'm looking for players. So that way when it comes up and we get a new player in, we'll send them your way based on the list.
Hot topics.
Hot topics.
Hot
Okay,
topics.
the rumor one. We went cute here. Yes, is right. So it's funny because we've heard a handful of rumors, and most of them are kind of interesting because they're not. We're not even sure how they would even get started. We're not going to go into all the rumors, but the reality is just we're very reachable. We're very reachable. Text, email, blast, cities, events, tournaments. Come up to us. So on. If you're hearing something and want clarification directly, talk to us. You guys are welcome to keep doing the rumors, but the right source is us. So please reach out. Things that can occur not using your score sheets, and all of these have occurred repetitively, so it's really important. Okay, a lot of teams do not use their correct score sheet.
And what he means is when you download your score sheet, you're getting a PDF that actually contains your score sheet and your opponent's score sheet. So at the top, it has your team number and your team name, and it may list your opponent's first. That might be page 1, and then you're just printing page 1 when you should actually be printing page 2.
Right, and so what that results in is we've had calls, people saying to us, my past due is incorrect. And then we figure out, or they figure out, they're looking at their opponent's past due, not their past due. We file these score sheets. Sometimes we have teams send us in multiple copies of it for whatever reason, or multiple players send in the score sheet, so eventually we're not going to keep them all, we delete them. Yours could get deleted because you didn't tag your player, your team number or the week, and we don't require it, but if you don't, and you're sending in the wrong one, we're going to open it, look at the number at the top, and we're going to go, we have that already, and it could get deleted. Incorrect opponent for next week, you think you have a bye, you think you're playing such and such, and you're not. And then last, at the end of the session, as you all know, you can mark yes or no, and we can incorrectly mark you as returning or not returning because you circled it on your opponent's score sheet. Okay, voicemail and text messages. This is a big one, so please spread the word on this. We really want to help you. You know our preference is email and text versus a phone call. Most cases we can solve things versus email and text, but we are open to phone calls. What we really would like in the voicemails and text messages, because we could be on the call or processing something when you call, is leave some detail. You don't have to leave the whole history of the problem, but it helps us know when we call you back to be prepared. Sometimes we've called people back and they tell us what the problem is and we're not in a position to answer them.
Right, like stuff like, if you're wondering about a past due or something that might appear on your score sheet, just indicate that. Just say,
Right.
Can you call me about a past due?
Right.
And that way we at least have the accounting in front of us to be able to answer your questions.
Right, that's all. Not all the details, but something to go on versus just call me back or, hey, I've got questions. All right, this next one's a big one. Brian had something in the bylaws still there. We're going to enforce it pretty heavily. We already have for MVP. Some of you personally may know this, either by winning or not winning it. If you move up 2 skill levels in a session or more, you cannot win MVP. That includes on any night. So even if you join another team late at a higher level, and only go up 1, but on a different night you went up 2, you're not eligible. And the reason is this should not be occurring. Additionally, your team will lose points for any matches they played at the lower skill level. So you bring a 3 into the league, they finish the session as a 5. The matches they played as a 3 will not, they will lose those points. The team will lose those points as well, and they will not be eligible for MVP. This includes established players too. We've had it in cases of established and unestablished players. You can avoid this in many ways. Know the player, play them on the table on the side, wait to play them. We've said this in other past meetings and conversations. While the match is going on, you go, you know what, this person's not a 3, they're a 5. Move them up in the match. Everything you can do. There's plenty of ways to avoid this. but there is no justification for a 3 being a 5 or a 6 at the end of a season. It just doesn't happen, in APA as a standard process. So you will be penalized. You can reach out to us. We'll help you kind of navigate it, but avoid this situation because your team will lose the points earned. So there's no value in starting someone two or more skill levels lower because you'll lose all the points and they won't be eligible. Okay. No limitation of member services. So we had 2 players contact us because they were looking for patches after they got them in playoffs and scores were entered. And we reached out to Nationals and found there is an issue in the member services. So in the member services, playoff patches will not show up. However, they are in your lifetime record. So when we print the report for the blast, we will have those recorded. So you will still get your patch. We went through actually the 2 individuals with the national office and they confirmed step by step that this is the case. They have a ticket in to resolve the other issues, so they will solve it one day. But we just want to let you know, if you're not seeing your patches marked, it's very likely this. It could be that we didn't record it, but most likely it's because you're not seeing it. When you come to the blast, we will honor it. And even if it's not there, we'll honor you as we always have. But we want to let you know about it so when you start to look, you're not going, hey, where's my patch? This is the problem. There's a bug there.
Yeah, that's in your session stats. So if you look at your lifetime stats, it should be incremented there.
Right. All right, this one's you.
Okay, payments. So if you guys are paying through the app, there may be situations, and I don't know, this might be one of the things that you have covered, but if it shows that somebody made a payment, like on the other screen where you're looking at your schedule and stuff like that.
Under schedule, match paid by XYZ.
Oh, okay. So there it is right there. So that might happen, but it might not necessarily be paid. So you want to actually double check through your payment history. In there, if you can see the rest of this screenshot, so you just click on your initials, go to payments, and then go to your payment history. It might say order history, I think, but for each of your payments, you can drill down to the details and it will show you the exact weeks that were paid and the team that you paid for. So that will all be listed for every payment that you make. So in there, you can just double check, you might have missed a week, we might have missed a week or whatever, but this is where you can actually show that this is the amount that was deducted or charged to your credit card.
Yeah, and the statement there is referring to somebody raised something up and we talked to Nationals about it. The case where you'll actually see the match paid by you in the schedule side of this versus the payment history, but not seeing payment history, is because the schedule changed. If it changes, there's a bug there. So the true history is in your payment history for the app Stripe payments that you make. Everything else you can get yourself, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal. You should be able to go to your own account and see. So.
Oh, this one might too. We're starting our new doubles session. So we are gonna, we are looking at, for those of you that are playing 8-ball doubles, I am gonna be sending out an email to you guys today about scheduling the playoffs for the following week, the 17th instead of the 10th. But we are starting a new session for those of you who want to join. It is a monthly league, monthly double headers. 8-ball plays on the first Saturday of the month, and 9-ball doubles plays on the third Saturday of the month. So we will run a 5-month session. So there will be 10 weeks, and then in March we will have a playoff, and then the winners of that playoff and division will play off in a qualifier in March, and then for slots to advance to the pool player championships at the end of April.
Yeah, one thing I want to touch on there is the APA does have a requirement. It comes up in a few topics we have here today for the number of weeks necessary to play. We're going to discuss it with them to try to make the case that's going on now with 8-ball and even 9-ball, where you play playoffs in the same month. We're hoping that they'll accept a 10-week season versus a 12-week. 12 weeks their requirement, but we don't want to just go around it until we get their approval, so that it doesn't inhibit you guys from qualifying for Vegas. So we need to talk to them first about this. But the point I'm trying to make is the reason we have to have 6-month windows and play playoffs in the same month as the 6th week is because of the 12-week requirement of regular session and playoffs. If we can get them to agree to the 10-week, that it's okay to run the doubles that way, then we'll be able to run playoffs in the 6th month and start that cycle and not have this situation. But that's the reason we're in the case, because it meets the current APA requirement.
Southwest Challenge, we're back. Southwest Challenge
Yay.
is gonna come up. The entry deadline is September 30th, so that's gonna be coming up pretty quickly. We do have limited number of spots. We have about 60 spots, and we are at about 55 entries that are confirmed. So I will be sending out a confirmation list so that you guys know that you're in, that you've paid your deposit, and all of that stuff, which is due on September 30th. Anybody else who wants to sign up, that is on our website. You'll have a link there. You do have to enter a Google form, and then you also have to submit a $100 deposit by September 30th.
Yeah, so if you're not sure of your full team, you can still do the deposit, put your name in, and hold that slot, and then get the details in by the end of September. But if you don't put something in the Google form and do the $100 deposit, you do not have your slot in case we run out. We'll do our best to fight for more, but there's no guarantee. Okay, the elephant in the room, if you can see the icon in the upper left hand, was discussions about the challenges created by having league play during nationals. We did have this discussion at BOG meeting. We understand that having the play during session end also made it additionally more complicated versus, let's say, midsummer, early fall, something like that. Having to do all these makeups and pre-plays, etc. And then also having better support from us on making sure the teams supported you with the makeups or the pre-plays and those songs. We felt we communicated, but we learned we didn't communicate well. So we will fix that and get better. Previously, the world dates were around the playoff time frame, but they've moved over the years. And if you look back, you'll see end of August, then it was middle of August, now it's early August. They can also shift it again. It's about how they work with the Westgate. Now, they'll give us a year out advance notice so we can navigate, but doesn't mean we can navigate summer playoffs to align.
Right.
That's almost impossible because of all the other requirements. We have a window we have to run summer, or window we have to run fall, window we have to run spring, and we have to run so many weeks. So it isn't just simply going do what we want. We have to run within certain details to hold our eligibility for the slots we get, for the teams, etc. And that's why lining it to playoffs may not be out of our control. We just want to let you know there. The last part is we haven't decided what we're going to do for 2023 Worlds, but we will come out in the spring session players meeting. This is sort of the fall one. We may have 2 between now and the end of spring. May only have 1, but when we have a players meeting in the spring, we will tell you what we've decided to do at the Nationals for 2023. So that way you know going into the summer session what our plan is and you can act accordingly.
Right.
We don't know right now, so we won't talk hypotheticals, etc. We want to have time to discuss it, and there is some time to figure that out.
All right, this is an email that went out to the divisions that we tried out with the APA scorekeeper. And now everybody is going to get this email. We are going to open up the scorekeeper to all of the divisions, which is a lot. So, but what we're not going to, so it's not too chaotic. We're not going to require you guys to use it. At this stage of the game, what we want to do is at least give you the opportunity to try it out, use it, see if you like it. It's not required that you submit it, but if you do decide to use it, we are going to require that the visiting teams also submit a paper score sheet, and that's going to be our backup. What we're also going to do is we are going to provide for some locations, the ones that have the in-house mostly, we're going to provide blank score sheets that they can have in the office in case you guys, in case the app freezes up, you can go back to scoring one of your matches on paper, and so we'll have that as preparation for this. But what we are going to be sending out through email is this flyer, and it's going to be a 1, 2, 3. You're going to download the app. It's available on the Google Play Store and in the APA or Apple App Store. And then it also has links to these tutorials. So there are tutorials on how to keep score in 8-ball, 9-ball, how to edit a completed match. Sometimes you're like, oh, I entered the wrong person or for the lag or something. And there's a lot of videos that show you how to correct that. It's really pretty easy to use. So instead of panicking, just kind of swipe and figure out where your things are, and it lets you correct things in there. So we are going to open that up to the whole league.
Yeah, and 2 other comments. If you call us with a question, we'll ask if you watched the video first. Trying to open up this wide of a league, you can imagine what that could result in support. Since we're not requiring it, we are asking that if you want to use it, go watch the videos. They did a great job of detailing how it works. There is issues. The app is still beta. That's why we're not mandating it and not going league-wide only electronic scoring. We don't know when that'll happen. We'll give you guys a heads up. It's not happening in the spring. We don't know when it will and when we'll get away from paper fully, but we will tell you ahead of time going into the following session when that occurs. But I'm just pointing out there's great information on the video, so please do it. Plus lean on your fellow opponents, because a lot of people have used it on the side and other divisions, etc. They may be able to help you. Another question we got is about the visiting team. We do need the paper. Even in opening up in 2 divisions in summer, we did have a couple issues, and so therefore if we didn't have the paper, we wouldn't have the score to enter. And this is where we'll hold the visiting team accountable to the paper. If you can both do electronic and we get the score sheets and we can enter them, we're not going to penalize you for getting 2 electronic. But if we have an issue, we are going to reach out to you and need the visiting score sheet. So that's what we're really trying to say.
Right.
Okay, so we held the BOG meeting we mentioned we'd have. We held it on 8/27. And the 2 topics that we wanted to bring back here, we discussed other things, but they're changes for the future, small stuff. So we're focusing on the 2 things we listed, which is onboarding and the blast. So for onboarding, we came out with the requirements. Anyone can be nominated, but there are requirements. A player must accept the nomination. So you can't say, Jane Doe, I want to nominate Jane Doe, and Jane Doe goes, what? I don't want to be nominated. So please close with the player before you submit a nomination to us or any one of the BOG members for nomination. You don't have to send it to us. You can email, text. You can also go to the BOG and say,
you can nominate yourself too.
Yeah, and you can submit yourself, exactly. But, and obviously if you submit yourself, then you're
probably accept it.
Yeah, but if it is someone else, just don't do it blindly, because that doesn't work. We don't want to vote someone in and they don't want it. So please clarify that first. You must be an SDAPA member for 2 or more years, and you must play multiple nights. These are the requirements that the BOG agreed upon, and we agree with as well. So this is the minimum requirements. If you don't meet these, please don't submit the player name, because when we look up the details, they won't even be up for vote. Once we have those lists in the next BOG meeting, which is February, we will take a vote amongst the BOG. Everybody could get in that's on the list, or nobody could get in. It's really going to be depending on the votes and majority. What it doesn't say here is we are trying to make sure we cover all the areas. We're going to map that out and figure out where we do have BOG coverage and where we might not. Lean in that way. We want to be diverse as well. All these kind of things we're going to consider.
So the vote might not be because we don't like you.
Right.
It might just be that we have that area covered or something.
Right, really well, etc. So, and then the blast, it was simply we keep discussing, is there a way to run the blast elsewhere? Right now the idea is that would be difficult due to seating and parking and other challenges. Someday we might still give it a try in one format in the future, but right now we're not planning on doing it. Okay, key changes we want to point out since the last meeting. So previously in the summer, when you rescheduled a match, you played at the score sheet printed skill level. We're no longer doing that. We are going to the official team manual process and saying you need to play at your current level. So obviously if you pre-play, you play at the printed score sheet, we're downloading it then, you're good to go. But you play it 6 weeks after the printed score sheet, and a 4 is now a 5, they play as a 5. If a 4 is now a 3, they play as a 3. You guys all have access to current skill levels, so it's easy to look it up. However, if you aren't aware of this rule or don't follow it up and you sign score sheets and turn it in, that's how we're going to enter it. We're going to enter it on how you played the match, but our ruling is you play at your current skill level. This came up quite a bit, so no requirement to play in the last 2 weeks for a perfect session. There was actually never a requirement, or I should say in the recent bylaws, there was never a requirement for MVP to play in the last 2 weeks. We had a lot of questions on it. If you look at the bylaws, which are in the process of changing. But if you look at the current one, the previous ones, you'll see that it was always a perfect session requirement. Perfect session's kind of an individual target, doesn't affect anybody else, so we don't need the 2 weeks. But it's also never been a requirement, nor is it a requirement for MVP. We put a message out in the message center for teams in the ladies and monthly leagues, but we're just pointing it out here if you haven't noticed already. We are updating scores, standings, everything about the league on a weekly basis. So we process. This way we can pick up makeup matches on monthly leagues that could happen at any time, pick up payments, whatever it may be, standings updated more frequently. So every week we're updating it. Masters, obviously, it doesn't matter because there's not a skill level thing there. But for doubles and ladies, grab the score sheet closest to the time you're playing your match. Doubles league. So currently in doubles leagues, there's MVP awards, but there's not team trophies. We are switching this around. We're no longer going to do MVP for doubles, but we are going to have team trophies. So for the current session, you'll get MVP. Actually, MVP can't be reached at 7, so we're allowing it at 6 because there's only 6 possible matches to be played, but we're going to remove that in the follow-on session. However, we are going to add team trophies in the follow-on session, and we're actually going to retro it back to the current session.
Yeah, so the doubles leagues, we want, and the way that works, if people don't know about the format, is you play a doubles match and then you also play 2 singles matches, and that kind of allows us to get some singles scores in so that we can have current skill levels and stuff. But the object of the doubles league is really, we want to target doubles matches, and those count more, and so we want to award the team for playing rather than the individual.
Yeah, and part of the reason the singles is there is that you don't have to be in regular league to play, and it's the only way to figure out skill levels for people that are not in standard teams. But it is a doubles league, so that's how we want to focus on the awards. And league office, pretty straightforward. The only statement there is, after these hours, your best bet to get hold of us is a text. If urgent, say I need a call right away, but this does not include rules. So if you say I need an urgent call and you call us about a rule that you can look up in the OTM or bylaw, that's not a preference, please. Please try to do a search. They're very easy to search. Some things may be clarification or a battle of agreement or interpretation. You can ping us if it's causing a challenge. That's not what we're saying. But if it's clear and you can find it in the OTM or bylaw, please do so. Top questions being asked. Okay, this is the last slide, so hopefully not too far over the 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah, we'll get better, so sorry. Okay, so we actually had more questions, but we answered them in the other slide. So these were the remaining things that we didn't answer. I can no longer see the option to pay league. This is basically on the app and Stripe only, and it's due to once we enter a match. So if you pay within the time period that we give you the window to process, which is basically pre your matchup all the way through to 2 days after, then you won't have this problem with rare exception. But once we enter the match, you won't be able to pay it anymore. And that's why it goes away. It isn't because you paid it necessarily, it's because we've entered the match. You can pay in other ways, Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. We don't do invoices anymore, but we can if you need it. So if you reach out and say, hey, I don't do any of these other things, can you please invoice me? We will, but it's no longer a normal pattern that we're doing. Another question was, can I add a player after week 4? Yes. The exception is qualified teams in the spring. You can't change your roster at all. You can't drop a player. You can add a player. You will not be qualified any further if you do this. But exception of the qualified teams, yes, you can add players up to the last 2 weeks of the session. We have other rules and ways we'll monitor as we get close to the end of the session, as you can imagine, new players, correct rankings, all those kind of things we'll monitor a little closely, but yes, you can do it. And the last thing, do I have to send in partial or buy score sheets? People still send them in. You don't have to send in partial or buy. We do nothing with them because we don't enter partial scores until we get the full match. So send them in, but we almost delete them, really. And then when you're finally done, or if you determine that partial becomes a forfeit and it is done, you're still going to have to resend that score sheet. And buys, you're no longer getting bonus points, nor are you required to send in buys. So if you do, we just delete it, and we try to send a message letting you know we don't do anything with them anymore, but just letting you know. I think that's it.
Okay. All right, we're opening this up.
Yes.
I'm looking at the chat right now, so I've just seen you probably kind of waited to answer, or I mean to post anything in the chat. So I'm just looking. So
feel free to start asking questions, and if you asked it already, please re-ask it because maybe it got answered.
Hi everyone. I can see who's watching. Let's see, David, Annie. Hi, Annie. Hi, Josh. Hi, Chuck. CK.
So I'll touch. So
Uh-oh.
Kai mentioned defensive shots. I didn't forget Kai, but the problem
Defensive
we ran
shots.
into, and this came up in the Board of Governors, where it was about educating people on defensive shots. You can see with the material, we still didn't hold the 15 minutes, and we're just trying to focus on some key items we had to get out, and that was right on the border. And I was just like, it's. You can see we went over. So we're really trying to keep these to quick syncs. We will touch on it in the next meeting, but to Kai's point, and it's always been a challenge in the APA, is interpretation of defensive shots. I'll give that to you because you do a pretty good job of talking
Yeah,
about it.
well, they got a video on it, which is really good, and it's just, it's pretty clear what a defensive shot is, and it's not intending to pocket a ball, and intent is the word. So if you do not intend to pocket a ball, it is defense. You may hit a ball really hard, trying to just kick at it and just trying to hit it and hoping it goes in a pocket. And they do describe that as well. I was trying to, because of how hard you hit it, you were trying to pocket a ball. And so that may not count as defense. But if you're just tapping it, then, and it, it's really, you didn't plan on it going anywhere, that is a defensive shot. And it should be marked. And defensive shots are really important to make sure that people are keeping score accurately, which in turn makes people's skill levels more accurate.
So the doubles league, do they count as 2 matches? So they don't, because you're not allowed to play 2 matches. Basically, you're supposed to have 2 individuals playing that don't exceed 10 skill level, and you can't have the same individual playing twice. So you are playing 2 singles matches. However, you're not, one individual is not allowed to play both of them. Your teammate has to play the other, and the 2 combined cannot exceed 10. The exception to the rule is when you join. If you both, for example, join as 5s, a couple weeks go by and one becomes a 6. That's the exception of qualification. I don't know if it falls into the singles match side of it.
Yeah, that's okay too.
Yeah.
That's okay too. The point there is we really don't want 2 monster players playing those singles matches, and that's really the intent. There is we really want the doubles match. So the doubles format is like this. It's a double header. So you play 2 doubles matches of the same format, and then you play 2 singles matches. And so that's what we're talking about here. Those singles matches are really intended to make sure that people playing in the doubles league are getting scores in for their record, and so that they're current. And that's really the point of having those singles matches. But really we want to gear it towards that doubles match, and we want to just make sure that those singles matches are fair still when you're playing them. So we don't want just the 2 best players playing,
Right.
or something.
And again, the singles match is there. One of the reasons it's there is that it does allow someone who doesn't play in any other format to be on the team and play matches, so we can make sure they're at the correct skill level. Okay?
I made us bigger.
Any other questions? And again, if we missed it or we went over something that you needed more detail on, please don't hesitate. And you guys always know you can reach out whenever, email, text, call, go to your BOG, any direction. We'd like you to reach out to us. I think over the summer and definitely the Nationals things raised some concerns and challenged conversations. Like I said, rumors have gone out there. All different things occur. We're very approachable. We've said it before. We're not going to be perfect. We will make a mistake. We'll try to correct it. In some cases, we may keep something, and we try to please the majority. We're never going to please everybody, but we want to hear back, because we may take that information and go, well, we didn't look at it that way. So we appreciate you reaching out to us always. All right, I'm not seeing any additional questions. I'm gonna scan. Did you scan back through to see?
Yeah, I don't really see anything, just people joining. Hi. And
Okay.
highs. Oh wait, what's this one
Oh,
right
here
there?
we go. I'm good.
Thanks for the updates. Thanks, James. James is good. Wait, I saw something about Oh, Larry with the scorekeeping app. Oh, view order. Oh, these are new. I didn't see these. View order history. Yeah, that's what it's called when you're looking for payments. And Larry's loving the scorekeeping app. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Hopefully you'll have somebody there that can help you navigate through it. But it really helps to look at just kind of play around with it a little bit. We can actually, if we had to, we can jump in there and take over the scoring if it just really just fell apart for you or something. But you can also have, like, if your phone dies, it has that match real time in the system, and so you can have a teammate bring it up and take over the scoring. So you can do that. You will also be able to split matches where if you're on two different tables, you can score two different matches at the same time. But really try to look at those videos on, the way it works is it's got so you have your window that's got the current scoring going on. But if you want, you can swipe down and look at this little window to say, oh, wait, what are my options here? Let me see what I can do. And, if you mess up, you can always correct it. So don't be afraid of it.
So while you were doing that, we got questions, which is great. So Lisa, the question of how do we find our BOG division? So the list of the BOG is on the website. The link is in the presentation and in the past presentation, but it's really simple. You go to the main San Diego website and you'll see a BOG on the column. If you don't see someone that represents your division, nominate someone. That would be awesome. We're going to map it out, but it's going to take us a little bit to figure out where everybody sits and the nights they play and do that map out. But this is why we're going out to the league saying nominate someone, even yourself. And the answer to Ann is yes, you can nominate yourself, absolutely. Just a reminder, if you're not nominating yourself and you're nominating someone else, make sure they want to be part of this and they accept the nomination before you submit it. So yes, we don't have it by division, at least last I looked. It's just names, but you should recognize the names in your leagues. And if you don't have someone, again, please point that out to us. Okay.
I'm going to switch over.
So, Shauna, you asked about playoff checks. I'll let Liza talk to it, but pretty much division and playoff winners will pay out at the blast is how we're doing it. It's close enough to the end of the session. It's just an easier path. We've had situations where people don't have the right address in the system. We've had checks get lost in the mail. It's not a high percentage, but it's enough where the blast is close enough. We'll pay it out then. We cannot do electronic payment. Venmo has limitations and other apps do as well. So we'd love to do that actually, but we can't. We looked into it when we first got here. But yes, the plan is to pay it out at the blast versus mailing it. If you absolutely aren't going to be at the blast or need us to mail it out, you can reach out and make sure your address is right in the system. I mean, you can send it to us, but our preference is put it in the system and then say it's correct in the system.
Yeah, we are, we are going to look into if people want, we want to pay out the money but there are people who turn around and just want to pay for the next session or something. And so if you want to put that credit towards your team for the next session, then contact us and we will work it out where we'll have a record that it was paid out at least, and then you will see the credit on your score sheets and deduct that each week for you.
Yeah, but that contact must be emailed because we need it documented that you requested that just for traceability, and so on.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question is about how do we determine whose score sheets are correct regarding defensive shots? Well, that's true for a lot of things, right? Other than the score should be correct. It isn't always, oddly enough, and so on. I'm not going to give you that formula, right? That gives you too much insight. What I will tell you is there's guidelines the APA gives you to do this. Again, it's not externally shared, so we're not going to share it. But we also see patterns, and patterns doesn't mean someone's cheating. It could mean someone isn't paying attention, right? It's clear to me the teams that are having a few more drinks that evening, potentially because of the way the score sheet starts to fade, and so on. So we might pay attention to a score sheet that seems to be paying more attention. But when everybody's paying attention, we do have a process we use. Unfortunately, we can't share that with everybody, but it is a fair, consistent process. Yes. All right, let's see. Scoring app is great. Bugs have been worked out for the most part. Embrace it, and you will like it once you get used. Agree, David. I think Larry agrees, and others agree. There is always going to be challenges with something like this, but this is why we turned it on for everybody, because we had people asking and really wanted to use it. We know some are hesitant and don't want to use it, and that's why we're not requiring it. But we want to make sure you can use it if you want to use it. So I would agree with David. Turn it on, start using it, and I think you'll like it. Did you get my email? Sorry, Missy, that's maybe.
Oh, wait. Email. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Is it my
can't
email?
comment right now. If it came in today, very possibly. But if not, feel free to text us. I mean, we get it's out San Diego at apaleagues.com. We've never had an issue getting an email. The issues we've had is, I guess Brian and Jill had an old Cox.net email that people still had. That was one issue. Some people don't put the S on San Diego at APA Leagues. And the last issue is I had one case of a filter that I fixed. But we had it. We just, and the problem with finding that, just to share, we don't mandate putting your team number on there, and everybody's done a great job adding it, so thank you, and the week. But when a situation does come up, if you don't have anything on there, your team name, ideally your number, because names change, it's very hard for us to search. That's the reason we ask. It's not impossible, but it's hard. And not the captain isn't always the one sending in the score sheet, as you all know. And even some teams, it comes from different people at different times. So the most consistent way to search all our files everywhere is your team number. So if you can do that, that'd be great.
I'm just adjusting some things
Happy
here.
birthday to you.
Oh, thank you.
When 8-ball doubles makeup matches from yesterday need to be completed by now. I'll let you handle that.
Wait, what?
Mark is asking about 8-ball doubles makeup matches.
Yes. Okay. So we do have one that's being replayed, I think, rescheduled for Monday the 12th. So that would be our deadline, Monday the 12th. So get your score sheets in by the 13th for doubles. I just wanted to bring out, I do have our website here, just because I want to show you where the Board of Governors thing is right here. So you can see it right here on the left. You can take a look at that. And at the bottom there are links to email your Board of Governor members who are right there. So if there's somebody that you would like to talk to on there, feel free.
Yes, and please nominate. We're looking to expand. I think the board's looking to expand in the right areas, make sure we're covered. That was the biggest thing the board's feedback was. Let's make sure the areas that don't have coverage have coverage. So if you're in that area, please reach out.
Also on here, we did mention the Southwest Challenge, so I'm just going to go to that for a second. So here is our 9-ball Southwest Challenge event that is going on at the end of October. On here is a, wait a minute. Do I have a link to register? I think the link is on here. Oh yeah. Right at the top here is this online form, and it shows you the room rates and stuff on there too.
Yeah, and Kai mentioned a lot of people have been running singles boards again. We're going to have one in October. It's in San Diego. Liza and I expect, it's not guaranteed, we expect all single regionals to be here. We unfortunately do have a few lower rates that have to travel. We're going to try to fix that. I know the current people running boards, such as Josh and others, are trying to run more low rate boards to make sure we have enough qualified to play in the area. Get on boards, reach out to us, reach out to your Board of Governors, reach out to anyone about the singles program. It's great. It's the same concept as the team model, but in a singles flow where you pretty much win a smaller local board, then you go to a regional, kind of equivalent to a cities. Yeah, they call it a regional, and then that takes you to Vegas. So it's a 3-step process, very similar to regular session blast and cities and a team version, and it's really cool. There's twice a year you can qualify. Stuff's on our webpage, but I think it's a great program, and we have tons of people that support it, which is awesome. They volunteer their own time to make sure you can participate in this great type of event.
Yeah, the low rates especially have a really great chance of advancing to Vegas And when you do, you're playing on a board of about 60 people, like from around the entire country. You got a 1 in 60 shot at getting a $10,000 payout. 15,000, I think, too, for the 8-ball.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
better than me.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. And even like so the regional that we're running here, we do have the 9-ball low rate board, skill levels 1 to 3, and there's only 8 people on that board. So one out of those 8, and then normally there's 16 people on a board for regionals. So this one only has 8. So one person out of those 8 people are going to go to Vegas. So that's pretty good odds.
You'll
pretty
answer
good
this better
odds.
than me. Do you mind answering that?
Qualify 4 and you go up
Repeat
to a
the
5,
question.
what happens? So it depends on when.
Well, so let's repeat the question.
So Annie is asking about if you qualify on the local board as a 4 and you go up before the singles regional happens. So, everybody's qualified by June. So from June until now, you could go up. So it depends on the timing of it. So the national office looks at skill levels, so they'll do their own handicap review. And if that time, during that time, you are a 5, then they will put you in the 5 bracket and you will play as a 5 on the 5 bracket. If you don't go up yet during that review, and let's say you just went up like this week, then you would need to sign yourself in. If you're still a 5. By the time the regional happens, then you need to sign yourself in as a 5, but you would have already been drawn into the 4 board, and so you would play as a 5 on the 4 board. So it really depends on the timing.
So a question I have, I know it used to be, but I don't know if it's changed. So I know with the Vegas singles program, I don't know if the regional does it. It's seeded, right? So the players may not see their skill level ratings behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
1 5 isn't the same as another 5. We all know this. No 3 is the same as other 3. But the APA sees this, and I believe they seed the board.
They do.
So if you are a 4 just going up to a 5, that likely means you're a lower 5, and you'll go up against the next lowest 5 on the board.
Right. Yep, that is true. And if there's a board, if there's a tier that's like a 4-5 tier, then they also try to separate it if there's enough players where there'll be 1 5 board and 1 4 board. So they'll try to do that even though the tier might be both skill levels.
So what happens in the opposite direction? I was a 5 and I went down to a 4.
If you qualify locally on this local board as a 5, you will play as a 5.
Yeah, the opposite doesn't hold true. They see that
Because
as
you won. You won as a 5.
Right.
Yeah.
You were able to win in a situation others were trying to win.
Would you certify yourself as? Well, you could certify as a 4. I mean, that's just, if you think you're a 4, but you're not going to play as a 4.
Right. That's true for the team. We say it all the time. Signing is what you believe you are, but it could impact you later if you go up.
Right. Yeah. So, Andy, right now you're a 4. So, or I don't know if you're a 5 right now, but, when it comes time, because you're going to bring that certification with you to regionals on October 1st. So, if you're a 5 at that time and, you feel you're shooting as a 5, then you should certify as a 5 and play as one. But if you got the email so you got your email already, so that's good. So people who have been qualified, we have 51 8-ball players and I believe 55 9-ball players that are going to be in the San Diego Regional. Those numbers aren't exact yet, but that's what I was given. And so those players should be getting their emails that says you're qualified for a higher level tournament, and it'll have the location, what time doors are opening, what time you can register, when we're going to have our players meeting, and all of that stuff. So you should be getting your emails for that this week.
So as I see less questions, I just, in case people join late, I want to remind them for the start of the fall session, if you can get your changes into us in the next couple of hours, we're going to repost this evening. We do have changes, so please confirm that you may thought you're playing team 4, but now you're playing team 2. Because we do have some drops and adds. We had a handful of teams join or change nights, or things happen in the last, this is the complication with starting the league. but we can manage it, and that's why we're going to repost, pick up roster change as many as we can. So whether it's a roster change or something, reach out and we'll get it in if it's the next couple hours. After that, it may not make this cut, and then we'll start the league and you do it as normal. But we'll try to get him in. So please keep that in mind. Again, look, and one of the reasons, just so you know, why do we change team numbers? We'd prefer not to, but if a team moves host locations or a new team joins from another host location, it's better to keep the host locations in the program, if possible, except for after the start of the season, next to each other, because there's the software has an algorithm tells us if we have the right number of teams at home or away based on the table count. So it's very important, and that's why you might see yourself move in the schedule where you've been team 5 forever, and now all of a sudden you see yourself as 7. That may be one of the reasons.
We're also going to be updating the team balances on there. So you might see like a past due on there that might have been from last session, and so those are going to be adjusted so that if you've paid it, that will.
Yeah, to be
correct.
specific, Tuesday and Wednesday I rushed out because Tuesday was up first. I didn't account for the accounting side of it, so apologies there. So it may be incorrect where Thursday through Monday I zeroed out all accounts. So that may not be accurate either. You may have a credit going, where's my credit? You will get that credit back. You may have a past due still, but it was just a matter. What the software doesn't allow today, and we're talking to the APA about it, I don't know when they'll solve it, is we can't just post the schedule and rosters. Even just the schedule alone, we have to post score sheets. It's the only way the other two get updated. And because of that, we had to go out with this situation so you guys could start seeing what's going on and be able to give us feedback on changes maybe you didn't submit yet, etc. So that's part of the challenge. We're going to go to them and see if there's something they can do in the future. But anyway, that's part of the reason. The other is some teams go, oh my gosh, I forgot to get you these changes, or I moved nights, or whatever it may be, and those come in as well. So that's why we're reposting.
I'm going back to the website for a second. One of the things that we talked about is the city championships and your eligibility. So I just want to show you where that is on here. If you're looking around the website, we have, again, you need to make sure in the spring that you're continuing in the fall. So if you win the blast, and you want to make sure you're continuing your team in the fall with at least 4 players. And then also continuing in the spring, and everybody who you want to go to Vegas and cities must play 4 matches in the spring. That is your Vegas roster. So that has this has some old stuff in here, but we have updated the calendar so you can see when cities is for 2023. But this is another thing I wanted to show you here. So for cities qualified teams, there is also this information. So you want to read through it, make sure you guys are going to keep yourselves eligible. There's always one team that's like, I didn't know I needed 4 matches, or I didn't know I needed 10 matches. Especially in the spring, if you're bringing on a new player, you got to make sure they get their 10 lifetime matches.
Right. Okay, I'm going to just do this so the video again trails by 7 seconds, but we're reaching out for any more questions you may have. If we missed something, apologies, please repost. We're waiting for the 7-second pause outside the text.
Should I play music?
All right, we should. We need to come up with something. We'll come up with some League Office theme music, or we'll rotate.
I got
For the rumor slide, for those old enough to know it, we wanted to play that song, well, how do rumors get started? They get started by the jealous people. So we'll have some fun with it. If you haven't met us yet or been out, we try to have a little fun
we won't
when
sing,
possible. No, sorry, I sing horribly, but whatever. I teach my daughter, that whole saying about, dance like nobody's watching, etc. I'm a big believer in it. So anyway, thank you everybody for your time, and have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you all on the table soon.
Bye, guys.